Hi, you. It's me, Nicole Phoenix Star. And this is the Nick Star podcast. And today we are talking about No Mud, No Lotus. So, recently in my traditional tantric teachings, non-duality student group, we have been working with the teachings of the lotus. And, there is the famous no mud, no lotus phrase and book for that matter. There's been a great inspiration for our deep dive into the lotus teaching. And I just felt that it would be really insightful to bring a little bit of regular perspective to that, because there's so much kind of projection and conditioning and striving to be happy all the time, or even to, erase the hard stuff, to not have times of contraction or dirty, icky, muddy situations. And that is just not the case. Resisting the mud keeps us in a loop, keeps us in our suffering, keeps the conditioning alive that bad is bad, we just want good. We don't want mud, we just want lotus. When you look at the whole of the lotus, and you see the lotus seed is planted deeply in the mud, and it pushes its way all the way through the mud and through the murky waters that it's in its environment, and eventually it finds the sunshine, it finds the light, and it opens up. And its sole purpose is beauty. To experience that moment, to experience this life. And then, as the end of the day comes, it starts to slowly close and goes back into the water and rests on the mud that it forged itself through, that it found its way, that, grew it until the sun shines again, the daylight comes through, and the lotus finds itself coming out of the water and blooming for another day. And that's how we can experience life. Like, there is no lotus if there's no mud. Not just no mud, no lotus. It is to be able to find that state of equanimity where no matter whether we are having a tough day or a really great day, to be able to navigate it as the whole, to realize that, there's always tough times, there's always muddy moments, and there's always rainbows after the storm. And if we resist the mud or a storm. There's no lotus, there's no rainbow. There's just stomping around in the mud, wishing there wasn't any mud, and having moments believing they were just, as usual, turned to crappy, muddy, shitty things. Being able to recognize the mud as the fertilizer, as the foundation. In Lotus consciousness, we give gratitude to the muddy lessons. We know that they are supporting us in our rooted, confident self. They're growing us, and they are an integral part of the whole. And then there are times where we are kissed by the sun, blooming as the greatest expression of our soul purpose. And we can shut down again and rest on the mud that has forged us into that can navigate all the waters, and to really understand what it is to live in a life of equanimity. Because if you want a peaceful life, you have to find equanimity first, right? You can't just go from crappy life to peaceful life, because you can have peace in the storm. You can have peace in the hardest of times, because you're able to be equanimous in that moment and in the next moment and in the moment after that. Be in awareness that this tough time is growing you. You don't have to like it, but if you're in awareness, knowing that the sun comes up and the sun goes down, and the cycles and the cadence of life continues to flow. And if everything is welcomed, if everything is embraced and everything is acknowledged in the wholeness, the mud, the water, the sunshine, the rain, as part of the experience, then you can be equanimous. And equanimous is not like, not experiencing the feelings and emotions of the hard and the elating. It's being able to experience the hard and not get crushed and wish it to be different. And this is Lotus consciousness. No mud, no lotus. No lotus, no mud. I love this teaching. This kind of little parable of the lotus. And that's why you see it, in so many representations with deities, and in art and in philosophy. The lotus is such an extraordinary representation and metaphor for life and the human experience. So today, I wish you all the mud and all the lotus and the whole experience of everything. May you embrace it as a whole and not miss one thing. Okay, that is the end of today's podcast. And if you've liked this podcast, I would love you to like it or leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, share it with anyone you may feel benefit from it, And my website is www.nickstar.com, NIKSTARR. And I wish you always well. Thank you for being here today, you. Love me.